Our commencement speaker today serves as Group Vice President for Medical Education at the American Medical Association and directs the AMA's Center for Transformational Medical Education. Susan received her bachelor's and master's degree in biological sciences from Michigan Tech and received her MD from the University of Michigan. She obtained a master's of public health at the University of North Carolina at Chapel Hill. A national recognized authority in medical education, Susan pioneered new models for community-based and interdisciplinary medical education. She initiated new programs in urban, rural, global, and public health. She was previously the Senior Associate Dean for Academic Affairs at the University of Wisconsin School of Medicine and Public Health. Actively involved in medical education research, Susan has been the principal investigator for more than $18 million in grants from the National Institutes of Health, the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services, and from private foundations. Ladies and gentlemen, it is an honor to introduce to you Dr. Susan Skocelak.
Greetings, President Ross, members of the Board of Trustees, distinguished faculty and staff, parents, partners, family members, fellow speaker Kyle, and especially to you, graduates. Look at you, graduates. Don't you look fabulous today? I am deeply honored to speak to you today to mark this important occasion. 40 years ago, this week, I was you. I was finishing my education at Michigan Tech and embarking on my next phase in life. I want to be able to tell you something that will be meaningful, and I want to speak from my heart. So, dear graduates, I have 3 life lessons to share with you. Be open to what life presents you, play as hard as you work, and believe in something with a passion. Let me start with a story. I began my time here at Michigan Tech in 1971. For those of you that are watching this last season of Mad Men, I was just starting college at the time when Don Draper and Peggy Olson are moving on to their next phase in life. Why did I pick Michigan Tech? Well, depending on who asked, the answer was either A, Tech was one of the top schools for science and engineering, and I had a passion for science, or B, there were 10 men for every woman in college. Or C, it was 550 miles from my parents' home in Detroit and in-state tuition. Sometimes it was all of the above. When I arrived for the student orientation in the summer of 1971, I had my first encounter with the local wildlife. The black flies were fierce and left me with souvenir bites on my neck, ears, and right in the middle of my forehead. All the freshmen had started together in 135 Fisher Hall, taking the freshman chemistry class of Dr. Mike Berry. Texas Instruments had just introduced a handheld electronic calculator. But because of the extensive cost of more than $100, not every student could afford one. We weren't allowed to use the new calculators for our exams. We were required to rely on our trusty slide rules, which we were assured would be essential tools throughout our future work lives. John McGinnis was the hockey coach, and we were the first class to see our Huskies play in the new student ice arena, swaying dutifully to the tunes of the Blue Skirt Waltz. You know, that male-female ratio thing was serious. All the women on campus were able to live in West McNair, which at the time was quaintly called Co-ed Hall. Do we even use the word co-ed anymore? We fit on all the rooms on the first floor and half of the second floor. There was a locked door with a loud alarm that prevented the men and women from going back and forth in these 2 areas. Now, during my junior year, East McNair, East Co-ed Hall, was open for women. I was the resident assistant for the women that lived on the 3rd floor. Again, the doors were locked and alarmed, and only the women had the key to enter the stairway at either end. There was a popular phenomenon at that time called streaking. A person would strip naked and run through a public place. You may know that the Academy Awards were streaked. So one popular pastime that winter for Michigan Tech was for the guys to streak the women's floor on 3rd floor East Co-ed Hall. The brave streaker would barge through the locked hallway on the east end of the floor, setting off the alarm and trying to run through the other end. At the same time, the women on the floor would grab their blankets and bedspreads and spread them out across the hall, seeing if they could catch him on the way. So, while my career has been in medicine, my undergraduate program here at Tech, my bachelor's degree was in medical technology. The thought never crossed my mind at the time that I might consider being a physician. As Sheryl Sandberg, CEO of Facebook and author of the recent book Lean In, said of her mother, quote, "When my mother took her turn to sit in a gown at her graduation, she thought she had only 2 career options, nursing and teaching. She raised me and my sister to believe we could do anything, and we believed her." Having been given the same advice, teaching or nursing, as I was preparing for college, I instead chose medical technology because of my passion for science and a family friend that I knew that ran a blood bank at the local hospital. Our 4th year of the MedTech curriculum required an internship at a local laboratory in the hospital. And I was stationed at Pontiac General Hospital, where I was supervised, including other members of my class, by 3 physicians. One was a particularly curmudgeon and crusty old guy by the name of Dr. Baginski with a strong European accent. I was really surprised one day and a little scared when he called me into his office. He said to me, starting our conversation very sternly, "Why do you want to be a Pinto when you can be a Cadillac?" Now, you probably have to know that a Pinto was a subcompact, really cheap car made by Ford at the time to understand what he was saying. By asking why I would want to be a Pinto when it could be a Cadillac, he was asking why I wasn't going to medical school. And that meeting was the first time it even crossed my mind to think of a career in medicine. Hence my first piece of advice: be open to what life presents to you. That surprising encounter led me to return to Tech, to graduate school, and to proceed to medical school and embark on a career that's been a series of opportunities to make the world a better place. Now on to my second life lesson: play as hard as you work. As you embark on your lives going forward, please continue to play. Play is defined as pleasurable activity undertaken for no apparent purpose. And a game is a voluntary activity, a voluntary attempt to overcome an unnecessary challenge. Why play? Well, research will tell you it'll keep you healthy, self-regulated, better at conflict resolution, and a successful problem solver. I hope you enjoyed your play here at Tech as much as I did. I learned to cross-country ski on the groomed trails up here behind the ice arena, to snowshoe at Douglas Houghton Falls, and to kayak on the Portage. I became an expert at foosball at the library bar, sometimes holding the table there for most of the evening with the quarters lining up for the next person to play. My first backpacking experience was with a group of girlfriends on an Isle Royal, and I learned to tell the difference between agates and quartz and cherts, spending many hours on the beaches of the Keweenaw happily searching for the treasures. Now, this time of year, we spent the spring nights especially enjoying the opportunity of a great smelt run. As the snows melted and the rivers began to flow, you would stand with your waders in the stream, and you could feel the little fish hitting against your rubber boots, thunk, 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 thunk. And if you would reach down, you could actually feel them in your hand, and you would quick grab them, pull them out of the water, and chomp, bite their head off. It's that finishing the night knowing that you shared the solidarity of the spirit of the great Yoopers of the Northwoods. So remember, as you go forward, continue to play as hard as you work. It will keep you healthier, happier, and more productive, and ensure you will find enjoyment in each passing day. And finally, believe in something with a passion. My passion has been changing the way physicians are educated and trained. My love of education and teaching started here at Michigan Tech, where I served as a TA in the graduate school and also as an instructor in the summer youth programs. When I began learning medicine, I was deeply disappointed in the medical education process. We spent the first 2 years of medical school without even seeing a patient. This lack of clinical experience was drilled home to me deeply when I went home to my first holiday for Thanksgiving and saw my Uncle Frank, who kept calling me over and saying, "Susan, Susan, what's this lump on my leg? Susan, what's this rash?" I didn't have a clue. I wondered why we didn't begin seeing patients from the first day we were trained in medical school, and the questions continued. Why were we training only in hospitals when 90% of care is given in the community? Why aren't we learning the difference between Medicare and Medicaid and what it costs to order an MRI? As I proceeded through my training, I became convinced that medical education needed to be different. So in addition to the deep honor of serving as a family physician for my valued patients, I have spent my career acting on my passion for building new models for physician training. Most recently at the American Medical Association, I've been privileged to develop and lead a major grant initiative awarded to 11 leading medical schools across the country to form innovative partnerships in advancing new models for physician training to create the medical schools of the future. I would love it for you to come visit at changemeded.org or take a moment to tweet #ChangeMedEd. Spread the word. Believe in something with a passion. When you can implement new programs that align with your values and you can follow your passion, work becomes a joyous vocation and a fulfillment of your dreams. If work isn't your passion, be sure that something is. Family, sports, travel, something that gets you up in the morning and puts a smile on your face every day. So from my heart, dear graduates, I can assure you that your time here at Michigan Technological University has provided you with something of deep and lasting value, an education, both formal and informal, already rich in life's lessons. When you look back on this day, 40 years from now, or 20 years, or even 5, you won't likely remember the specifics of my 3 suggestions: to be open to what life presents, to play as hard as you work, and to believe in something with a passion. But you will remember and cherish the essence of this moment, the sense of accomplishment, the pride of your family and friends, and the joy of a glorious, sunny, warm spring day that can only be felt at the depths of a Houghton winter. So go out and enjoy your time after the ceremony, and don't forget your sunscreen. Thanks.
Thank you, Susan. Did you really bite the head off a smell? You had to be there at that time. We're pleased to recognize Susan for her many accomplishments. Our students graduating today have pursued knowledge in their respective fields through her drive and determination through careers. Susan has had a great deal of success and surely has not only gained a wealth of knowledge, but also our respect, our pride, and our gratitude. We salute her and award her with an honorary Doctor of Philosophy degree from Michigan Technological University.
My thanks. It's a deep honor and ever so sweet that it comes from Michigan Tech.